Hello everyone, this is Srinath. I hope all of you guys are at home and safe. Today I'm here to talk about a UVC sterilization box which I have prepared. I made this at home and posted few pics on social media, and a lot of my friends and family members have reached out to me asking the process of on how to make this. So I thought I will make an attempt to create a video which will be easier for you guys to understand, hence this attempt. So people who already understand the benefits of UVC can straight away skip to the later part of the video, which is mentioned in the description, where I show how I made this, and I'll even show a demo there, but others can continue with me. So what was the purpose of making this box? So to begin with, we all know what is the cause. We hear the term coronavirus every day, and we look out for numbers and everything. And we also make sure that we are keeping ourselves safe from this deadly virus. And the common words which we use are like social distancing and sanitization, sterilization, etc. So how do we keep ourselves safe is probably wash our hands every now and then using some sort of soap, water, and you could even sanitize your hands using some sort of sanitizers. That's about keeping ourselves sanitized. How about the products and items which you get from the market? For instance, we talk about groceries and other things which you get from shops or departmental stores. Now, you can't expect all of them to be sterilized or sanitized. So people have used indigenous ways like salt water, vinegar, and whatnot to sanitize these products, as these are edible items. And people also use some safe fruit vegetable wash, or in some cases disinfectant sprays on surfaces of the products like covers, etc., to keep them sanitized. Now, there are a lot of other products which or items which cannot be sanitized using liquids. Of course, when you talk about masks, you have disposable and reusable masks. Disposable masks cannot be reused because you cannot wash them, as they won't last. And you talk about reusable masks, which are washable, but washing them a lot of times would also mean that you have to wait till it's dry to be used, and it also ruins them over a period of time. There are other items like currency notes, which you can't sanitize using liquids. Your phones, there are a lot of waterproof phones out there, but not everyone would like to wash their phones with soaps or even disinfectant sprays, because there is always a possibility of you damaging the phone when you're using some sort of liquid if they are not waterproof. And other items like laptops, you talk about wallets, any items which you're getting from outside like cardboard boxes, which is parcels from e-commerce websites, books, and a lot of other things which you want not to be sanitized with any sort of liquid, or do not want to expose them to any kind of moisture. So what is the solution for this? Of course, that is the whole purpose of this video. UVlight is a possible solution here, as the studies show that UV lights have been very effective in killing these viruses and pathogens and sanitizing your products. People who might not know, UV lights have been used from years in disinfecting things like water. You would see a UV light in your water purifier, which is used to disinfect the water and kill the pathogens and microbes, bacteria, viruses, anything which is harmful for human beings. Now, to understand more about UV lights and which UV lights to use, let's understand the spectrum of light. Now, this is the spectrum of light, and you would see UV lights between the wavelength in the spectrum of light of 100 to 400 nanometers. Now, UV lights are of three kinds. You have UVA, UVB, and UVC. UVA and UVB are not harmful for human beings, and I mean, not very harmful. There are still people who get affected with UVA and UVB. They get skin rashes, etc., and they normally use sunscreens to protect themselves from UV rays. But when it comes to UVC, they fall under the wavelength of 100 to 280 nanometers, as you see in this picture. And any UVC light with a wavelength of under 254 nanometers is the one which is found effective in killing pathogens, viruses, bacteria, whatever you call it. Now, the thing what UVC lights actually do is directly attack the DNA and RNA of these pathogens, and it damages it so that they can't reproduce themselves. And that is the benefit of UVC light. So if you're using any UVC light to sanitize or sterilize any items, make sure that it's a UVC light which has a wavelength under 254 nanometers. Moving on. Now, there are a lot of companies who would definitely want to commercialize this, and they have come up with their own solutions of calling themselves as corona killing machines. So you could just buy them just like any other microwave oven, and they come in different sizes. As you see there, you could get a sanitization box to sanitize your mobiles, your glasses, purse, and whatnot, and you can even get bigger boxes as well. So they start from a range of like 8,000 rupees and can even go up to 40,000 rupees based on the capacity and the features which all these boxes can actually offer you guys. And the most common thing and the most important thing in all these boxes is the UVC light, which I just spoke about. So if you have UVC light, is it easy to make a box like this? The answer is absolutely yes, but there is always a big question mark, as you all know, because anything which has got advantages has disadvantages as well. Now, what is the disadvantage? Now, UVC lights are known to cause damage to the DNA and RNA of pathogens, which also means that it can be equally harmful for human beings by damaging our skin and our eyesight if we are directly exposed to this. So when you are dealing with UVC lights, you have to be very cautious and very careful not to get under the exposure of UVC lights, and cover yourselves always, or keep yourselves away from such lights. So when I was making this box, now safety first was the paramount feature which I wanted to add to this box, and I wanted to include a few things in my design to keep this box completely safe. Features like auto turn off of the UVC lights when I open the box, auto turn off timer, so that once you place the items in the box and switch it on, it automatically gets switched off after a certain duration, and no leakage or exposure whatsoever, so that you're covering the box in such a way that the UVC light is not coming out in no form. So these were the things which I wanted to include or incorporate in my design. So what are the components which I've used? Of course, first thing starts with the UVC bulb. I've used 11 watt Philips UVC bulb, which has got a wavelength of 254 nanometers, which is required to kill the viruses, and a Philips ballast, which is required to make this tube work. Frame to fit in these two things. I couldn't find the frame, so I made my own frame. I will show that how I've made that and how it looks in the video. Wire like 20 meters, a cardboard box, of course, aluminum foil so that the UV lights inside the box reflects properly and covers most surface of the items which you're placing in. Maybe 3 pairs of male and female plugs, or depending upon how you prepare the box. LED indicator so that you know that lights are working inside. A washing machine spinner timer. This I've used as a turn off timer. Yeah, 3-way pin plug which I've used, so you could avoid this, and also thermocol sheets which I had at home, so I used that as well. There are a lot of components which you could avoid in this to make this, because I've just added those as additional fitments to make use of additional features. You could just make a basic box, and I'll show how that's made. So let's get on to the next part, which is the box itself, how I made it, and a demo. All right then, so this is how the box looks from the outside. This is the top view of the box. Now let's open the box. So this is the view from inside, as you see. Right, so the first thing which I did was took this cardboard box, and I also got some thermocol sheets at home. So I cut the thermocol sheets in a way that it fits all the sides of the boxes, as you can see, and I wrapped around the aluminum foil around the thermocol sheets to keep it intact. So the reason why we I mean, you don't necessarily have to use thermocol sheets. I just used it just to keep things intact, and it gives some thickness to the box as well, and it's lighter. But you can directly paste the aluminum foil inside the box if you have some sort of adhesive or like Fevicol or something. I didn't have any, so I just used this and used sellotape to fix it. Now, the reason why you use aluminum foil inside this box is to make sure that when the UVC light is on, it reflects very well and covers different parts of the objects which you are going to place within the box. That is the whole purpose of it. The next thing which I did after attaching or fixing these thermocol sheets with aluminum foil into the box is I got these tube lights, the UVC tube lights. I'll just show you how they look. Right, so this is the tube which you're supposed to use. Apparently, as I said, UVC light, which falls under the light, the spectrum of light, which is at 254 nanometers. I think that's what they said. Has got the capability of killing pathogens, and that's the light which I've got. It costed me like 220 rupees each bulb. Let me just fix this. Right, so that's the bulb, and now I've got this ballast. I've given the connection. Now, if you carefully see, this ballast already has the connectivity given of how you have to connect the wires. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. You have this 2 connections for which goes to the mains, and these 4 connections of which 2 goes on this side and 2 goes on the other side. So that's how the connectivity works. Now the challenge which I had was I couldn't find these ballasts in the market, so I had to buy it online. So you could probably get it in Amazon for like 300 rupees if I remember it correctly. And the most difficult part was to find these panels. So I did not have a proper what do you call frame to fit in the bulb. So I had to come up with my own way of preparing it. So what I did was I bought these panels which are used to cover the wires, right? So these are like cable management panels which you would normally get, which is around 6 feet in length. So I took these panels and I cut it by taking the dimensions of the tube and the holder put together, and I cut it exactly at a spot wherein I can fit the holder by cutting it in such a way and bending it that it fits the holder, and then I can even run the wires coming out of this ballast and this wire through this cable management panel. Right, so that's how I created it. So if you want to try it, if you can get the holder, well and good. If not, you could try this as well. This is my way of building it. So I've used 4 bulbs, as you see here, and once I fit these bulbs inside and gave the connections, the wires from these bulbs, which is from the ballast, comes out on the other side from all the sides. If you see, this is the panel in which you would see this wire coming out, and so is the case everywhere, right? So this panel has the wire from this tube, so on and so forth, right? So everything which is coming out of these tubes are running through these panels in such a way that they go all the way to the back. So 2 wires from here, 2 wires from here, 2 wires on the left, and 2 wires from this tube goes and runs towards the back. Now what happens at the back? Let's see. Alright, so this is the back side of this box. It looks quite messy because I ran out of the black charts to paste, and if you see, all these white wires which are coming out of these panels are the ones which are coming from each tube, from the front and the sideways. So you see 3 wires, 1 from the front and 2 from the side, and 3 wires here, 1 from the front and 2 from the sides, right? And I wanted to prepare a junction box to tidy up the wires into a single box. Couldn't find any as I was preparing this overnight, so I just used this box which I found, and all the wires come and run into this box. 2 wires from the back tube coming here as well. Now all these, what I've done is I have connected them all together as in pairs, right, from each tube, and all these connections are connected to this 2 wires which you see here. The 2 red wires, what you see here is what all these white wires are connected to, right? Let us take it as phase and line. So both are connected to these 2 wires, right? And these 2 wires from here run through this, I'll come to this in a minute, to this holder, right? So I just used a bed lamp here. I'll tell you what was the purpose of this. So this comes and connects to this 3-way plug, right? 1 on the top and 2 on the sides. So I connected this to this, and it comes all the way from here in and comes out here as a male plug, right? So this is the source of power, or this is the main source from which the tubes draw the power, all right? So this is all you need technically, right, for the tubes to work. Now let's see where does the power source or the power outlet get connected to. Now talking about the power source, this wire, what you see here, this is the wire which is getting connected to the power outlet, right? And this is coming all the way, and this is getting connected somehow. It's all messy here, but to keep it simple, these two wires from the power outlet is coming and connecting to these blue wires. What you see here, 1 on this side and 1 on this side, right? And these blue wires are running all the way up to the front. Okay. Now I've included a switch just for safety purpose. If you want to switch it on and switch it off, you could avoid this, but I just wanted to add it. So let's go to the front and see where these blue wires end up. Right, so as you see, the 2 blue wires are actually coming through these panels, 1 from here and 1 from here, and they are getting connected to this plug here. I've used a female plug because this is a direct power source. So even if you want, if you accidentally touch this points, there is going to be no harm. So I wanted to use this. Now all you do is you need to connect the wires coming from the tube to this power source in such a way that once they both are connected, I would probably use 2 hands as the plugs are tighter. I'm holding a camera on the other hand. So anyway, so once you connect this, now this power source gives power to all the tubes, so they light up the tubes. And by doing this, all right, what you're doing is your box is completely locked, which means that even if you purposefully want to open the box, you would have to unplug these 2 plugs to open it. And when you do that, the power source is cut off, right? Which means that if you open the box, the lights would always be switched off, sorry, right? So that was the whole idea behind it. So if you want to create a simple box, this is the simplest way to do it, and it is safe. So you don't need any other accessories, what you see on the top. This is absolutely going to do the job. You just have to make sure that this is put in such a way that the wire doesn't come out, right? So when you lift this, the lid should be holding the wire, right? And sorry, the wire should be holding the lid. So it means that it's intact. So just attach these panels using some binding wires by twisting them underneath the cardboard, right? So that's to keep things intact. Right, so let's come to the other stuff. Now, the reason I had to use this bulb was, as I said, UVC bulbs are pretty dangerous. You're not supposed to come in contact with them. It could harm your skin and eyes. So I wanted to make sure that I do not switch on the UV lights by looking at them straight. So I used my phone's camera to check these bulbs inside as well. But how do I know that the lights are switched on and things are working fine? All right, so that is where I've used a small indicator here, which is a small bed light which I could source for like 100 rupees. And I've just connected this to this particular holder, and that was the purpose of it. This is just to give us an indication that things are working inside, nothing more. All right, so that's about this bulb. Okay, you could avoid this if you think that the bulbs are working fine. And if there is another way of checking the bulbs have worked after you've switched this off, is just once you open it, after 5 minutes of time, that is the typical duration required, just touch the bulbs and you would see that the bulbs are a little hot, not screaming hot, but just hot, so that you can touch and feel it. Right, that's another way of doing it. Last comes this piece here. Now I wanted to prepare a box which can be used by everyone. Okay, and it has to be simple, and that's the whole reason I came up with this idea of using this male and female plug and locking this box this way rather than using any sensors, because two things: sensors, sometimes people find it difficult to get sensors. Second thing, they don't understand sensors. Third thing, sensors could be pretty expensive, right? So this is like an indigenous solution for that, and you don't really have to worry much. And last but not the least, as I said, the timer. I wanted to make sure, as the study says, that you need to switch this off in 5 minutes, which is, 5 minutes is good enough time to kill the pathogens. So when it comes to this timer, I wanted to use a simple timer. So what I did was I got a washing machine spinner timer. Let me show you how it looks like. Right, so this is how the washing machine timer looks like. All right, so when I say washing machine timer, I'm talking about the old washing machines which used to have mechanical timers. So this is how it looks like from inside, and this is what is inside this box. I just gave it a decent look there. So what it does is this you just have to rotate this thing, and it makes this buzzing noise, which is nothing but the gears moving inside, and it's making sure that the connection is on while this is rotating, and it'll come and stop at a point wherein the connection is auto cut off, right? That's the whole idea of this, and it costed me like 200 rupees to get this, and it's a simple and not so fussy solution, so you don't really have to deal with any electronic components. It's mechanical, so I just use that as a simple solution. So this thing is that, and you just have to connect the box to the power source and just turn this, as you see there, and it'll make the buzzing noise and things will go on inside. I've not connected this to the power source. I'll just show that to you in a minute, right? So how did I connect this timer? I'll just show that to you. All right, so this timer, as you see here, it's connected using these the orange and the black wires which are coming from the timer is getting connected to the switch. All right, the black wire is connected to the switch, and if you see, the orange wire is connected to the power source. All right, so that is where it is connected to, which means that it is switching off the light from the power source directly. That was the whole idea of using this timer, right? So once this goes off, things could go off. So let's get on to a demo of how this thing works so that you get a better idea of it. All right, so I've now connected this to the power source, as you see there, all right? And the first thing what you do is you open this box, okay? And before opening the box, make sure that you are sterilizing or sanitizing your hands, okay? 1 second. Right, so you're sanitizing your hands with some sort of sanitizer or washing your hands, so that because you want to keep the surfaces clean. You don't want to spread the pathogens on the surfaces and touch it again, because it ruins the entire idea, right? So once you do that, let me just get something to put in. Okay, I could only grab this. So you just get the item. Let us assume this is the item which you've got from outside. You just place this item, all right, and place it in such a way that you're covering all the sides, because I've got lights all around for covering most area of it. So you probably want to place it vertically and turn it around after that, because the area under the unit is not sterilized or sanitized, right? So you place the item, and before closing this box, make sure that your using a sanitizer or soap to wash your hands or sanitize your hands in some way, and then touch the box. I hope you get the idea, because you don't want to touch this item and then close this box, which means that your all the idea of sanitization goes in vain, right? So you sanitize your hands and then you close this lid. All right, once you close the lid, you know what to do. Just connect this plug. All right, there goes our plug. Now the first thing which you do, as I said, is turn on the timer. Right, I would normally rotate the timer till here. That's 5 minutes, but I'm just showing you how things work. So once the buzzing sound starts, it means that your timer is on, and as I said, this indicator here goes on, which means that the lights inside are on as well. I'll probably show you a video of how it looks from inside as well, so that you get an idea. All right, so this and also I'll show you add a time lapse of how the 5 minutes actually look like. So let me switch this off, and this goes off, right? So I'll add a time lapse video now, and you can just see how it works. Right, so now that you've seen the time lapse of that video, it normally takes 5 minutes for this timer to stop. All right, this is typically a 5 minutes timer, and that's good enough for us. So this light goes off, which means that you can now open the box, and there you go. Just open the box. Okay, and the next thing what you do is you repeat the process of either taking this out, or you probably want to sanitize the other side. So you just replace these parts. You'll get a strange smell. Just ignore it. That's because of the UVC lights. They tend to produce some sort of gas. So better not to smell it, but ignore it. So you place it on the other side, and again you sanitize your hands, close the box, repeat the process, and that's how simple it is. All right, so let me show you a video of how things look like from inside. All right then, so I've placed the camera inside, so let's shut this off to show you how things look from inside. I'm not sure if you can hear the buzzing noise, and the light must be on now. Switching it off. As you must have seen, the lights coming on and off. So let me just take out the camera. All right, so that's it. So that's how it works from inside and outside, the timer, the light. So the whole idea of making this box, now I've found a lot of guys making do-it-yourself projects on UVC, but I was just worried about the way things were made, as there was no specific protection from the light itself. But as you see, the whole purpose of making this box is to make sure there is no exposure of any sort, and there's no leakage of UVC from anywhere. And you could just beautify this a little by adding in some black charts and stuff, or whatever color you want to. I did a very bad job here, but yeah, it still works. That's the whole purpose. And I think it costed me under 3,000 rupees to prepare the entire thing, which includes everything. As I said, you could avoid these things if you really don't want to, the timer and the bulb, and use the other things and make sure the safety is paramount when you're preparing a box like this. And also I've used 4 bulbs just to give it a 360 degree protection or sanitization. You could use 2 bulbs or 1 bulb as well, as I've seen a lot of guys using just 1 bulb, but I just use 4 bulbs. It's up to you. And there are a lot of studies out there. I'll try and see if I can find those and paste the links in the description. If not, you can do the research, and you would see a lot of companies coming up with these boxes, as I mentioned earlier, who have done the research for us. So let's go by their words. One of my friends asked me, how do you know that the virus is killed? I really don't know, to be honest, because I can't say if the virus gets killed by using hand sanitizers as well. So it's just studies and facts which we go by. So don't quote me on that. With that, I'll end this video. Stay home, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best.